the Clippers seemed, with weeks to prepare, dare I say months to prepare for Media Day, the Clippers seemed wildly unprepared on how to talk about what Pablo Torre is reporting. One of the reasons that I think they're unprepared, David, is because I don't believe a reporter has very often had a story locked down exclusively this way, in a way that hits an organization in the face with a fish again and again. So here's Lawrence Frank, who needs, I get Kawhi Leonard not being equipped necessarily to answer some of these questions, but Lawrence Frank has to do better than this.
Has Dennis Robertson, Kawhi's uncle, ever asked for any extra benefits that wouldn't be allowable under the NBA salary cap directly to you? There's been a lot coming out about his asks.
Yeah, look, Dennis knows the rules, Kawhi knows the rules, Mitch Franklin knows the rules, and we know the rules.
Is that a yes or a no, though?
Yes, we all know the rules.
What is that, David? How can they handle it as poorly as how can they handle this poorly?
That one made me laugh at a time that I was not able to laugh at all. And I'm still laughing looking at him, because when you are meeting the media, you get Q&A training. So you sit with your PR people, you get a list of questions. Here's what I think could be asked. The number one question that's going to be asked of Lawrence Frank is, was there salary cap circumvention? And the answer has to be very simply, the NBA is investigating, and we welcome this investigation. And I'm not going to have any further comment until the investigation's over. It's dry. It stinks. There's nothing the media can do with it. There's nothing I can do with it on nothing personal. But that's the point. You don't want to say an answer because you can't lie, because you're being investigated. And Lawrence Frank just answered the question by saying everybody knows the rules. It's like saying, hey, did you steal that? Oh, I know stealing's against the law. Well, objection, non-responsive. That didn't answer the question. And if you're not going to answer a question in front of the media, then you bridge to a general answer that is what you're willing to say, not something like we all know the rules. Of course we know the rules, and you broke them, didn't you? And Lawrence Frank just looked like a deer in headlights.
For this back and forth between Ramona and Kawhi Leonard.
What is your understanding of the endorsement deal that you had with the company that's been talked to Aspiration, and did you perform any services for them?
When you say understanding, what do you mean?
Of the contract you signed and how much money you were to receive, what you were supposed to perform for those services.
I understand that full contract and the services that I had to do. Like I said, I don't deal with the conspiracies or the clickbait analysts or journalism that's going on. So that's what it is.
Well, I think the allegation was that you didn't perform any services for them. Is that accurate, or did you?
I don't think it's accurate, but it's old. This is all new to you guys. The company went bankrupt a while ago, so we already knew this was going to happen. So,
you were named as the largest creditor in the bankruptcy filing, right? Did you actually get the money that was owed to you in the contract, or?
No. But the company went belly up. It was fraud, as everybody knows. If you want any more questions or more details about that company, you need to ask the owner or whoever else is involved in the fraud that went on.
Right. I think they said they owed you $7 million or something, right?
I'm not sure. I gotta look back at the books, but no, it's more than that for sure.
Do you have any idea of how much you actually made on that?
No, it was like 2, 3, 4 years ago.
But he knows the contract, though. He knows the contract.
Which was worse, David?
Well, again, you introduced this segment by saying that you have to assume that Lawrence Frank is going to be better in front of the media than Kawhi, but I'm not going to give Kawhi that sort of grace because his job, he's a public figure, he's in front of the media. He has to have been prepped by somebody, even someone as incompetent as Uncle Dennis. Someone's got to talk to him. And do I believe that it's possible that he doesn't know how much he got paid of the $28 million? Let's give him the benefit of the rich player's doubt, where he just knows that he can buy whatever he wants and his credit card never gets declined and everything's good. That's fine. However, They all know exactly what they're owed. I promise you that. Every player I've ever dealt with for 18 frickin' years, if you short them by a penny, you get a call that day. They know exactly what the contract is. Kawhi knows that he had a $28 million contract. That's number one. Number two, he knows what he was owed because Uncle Dennis wants that money and would say to Aspiration, where's the money? He'd say to Ballmer, where's the money? Dennis Wong, where's the money? And the legal bankruptcy filing said that he's owed $7 million. That is not a filing that's done by Kawhi or Uncle Dennis. That's done as part of a bankruptcy filing where you look at the contracts that a company has, you look at the amount of money out the door, you look at the amount of money that hasn't been paid, and that's the amount of the unsecured creditor amount. That's the $7 million. If Kawhi had been owed 10, then that number in the filing would have been 10 million. But that number was 7, which means that's the amount he wasn't paid from Aspiration. Query, Pablo, did he get that money elsewhere? Because you can bet that Kawhi was not going to take $7 million under what he expected to get paid, regardless of the company going bankrupt or being fraud or con or any of that. Kawhi could care less about that. When he's in front of the media, it blew my mind. He didn't just say, hey, I can't really talk about it. Sorry, Ramona, nothing to say. Investigation, I'll be back to you. Instead, he just sounded like a fool, and that's just fodder for Wachtell Lipton, the firm doing the investigation.
He seemed the least concerned out of anyone that they were talking to. Like, the rest of them seemed somewhat defensive. He was just like, I don't know. It was a couple years ago. This is old news to me. Who cares?
This is new to
Doesn't
you
matter.
guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
yes, it is Kawhi.
He didn't seem like he thought he was guilty of anything or he was worried about being found out of anything. He just seemed kind of like, why do we have to talk about this?
Yeah, Billy, I'll tell you that I don't see a scenario here where Kawhi Leonard gets any sort of punishment. It would be Adam Silver would love to find a way to get to Uncle Dennis because he would like, and the agents would like, including Mitch Frankel, they'd all like the Uncle Dennises of the world to disappear because a lot of players have an Uncle Dennis, and the agents don't like dealing with them. The executives don't like dealing with them. We'd rather deal with professional agents, even me, except for Boris. I'd like to deal with all of the agents. And so is it possible that Uncle Dennis gets some shrapnel? Yeah, but not Kawhi. I think that he will skate here unless Pablo finds out some other stuff. But I think it'll be hard for the NBA and the union to agree on a punishment for Kawhi. It'll be easy for them to agree on a punishment for Ballmer, Wong, and potentially Uncle Dennis.
How do you punish Uncle Dennis, who does not work for your league or break any rule? Like, he broke their rules, but no actual laws. Uncle Dennis is just asking for more things, and these people are like, okay, if Uncle Dennis wants it, sure, we can give it to him. But he's not an NBA employee or a Clippers employee, so how do you even punish him?
So it's funny you ask. The only way to do it with people is to ban them. They can't be around practice facilities. They can't be in the arenas. It's sort of like Tyrese's dad. The big punishment is you can't sit courtside, and then you can reappear in a box. But that's all they can do. Now, for the agents, they can do more. They can decertify, etc. But for just a family representative, your hands are tied, and you're right. There are no criminal issues here against Ballmer. That's not what Pablo's alleging against Uncle Dennis, against the Clippers. It's all the NBA rules of salary cap circumvention. So there's no legal issues here. But certainly the NBA could punish Uncle Dennis just by taking away his access, his credentials, etc.
I think you're right, David, that nothing's going to happen to Kawhi because Adam Silver's solved as commissioner. But isn't the way to get rid of the Uncle Dennises is by punishing Kawhi?
But Kawhi doesn't want to be at the games either, so why is Uncle Dennis going to want to be at the games?
I think that Kawhi, I just heard he's the best player at training camp, and the Clippers are looking great. I think that's the fun way and the right way to spin it. You know, the world is burning, and you go ahead and say, look, there's a dandelion or an apple tree. So it is true, whether Kawhi looks good or not, you know, the proof will be in the pudding for the Clippers when the season starts, which is soon. But at the end of the day, this investigation is going to take a long time. The All-Star game is in the Intuit Dome this year. The NBA is not going to have a ruling on this until after the All-Star game. If they're smart, they're going to wait. This isn't one of those things where they can be quick like they were with Donald Sterling and just try to tourniquet the issue and move on. It's way too complicated, way too important, so you want to get through the All-Star game and then figure it out. But what I think is likely happening is a negotiation between the NBA and the Clippers as they figure out how they can exit this as gracefully as possible in terms of a punishment, in terms of an acknowledgement, because Mark Cuban be damned, there is no denying the reality of salary cap circumvention here. The circumstantial evidence that Pablo has is way too strong, and it's not that I'm close to it, it's that I've read it. And any independent person with any modicum of intelligence would look at this and say, well, this doesn't make sense but for circumvention. So we'll see.
I kind of want an Uncle Dennis. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I think we're trying to paint him out as a villain. This guy's a hero. He just has all these rich guys that can't control themselves. Like, hey, you want to break the rules that only affect you and not me and give me some extra money and my nephew? Let's do that.
I just have an Uncle Dick.
Who's nice, and then another uncle whose name was Richard, who was a dick.
Yeah.
And he has
Billy,
no
you
eye.
do have an
passed
Uncle
away with
Dennis.
One eye.
Billy, remember, we all have an Uncle Dennis. We all have people who are advocating for us. It's just a matter of how you employ them. It's a matter of who you choose to be your sort of spokesperson, to be your representative, because it does reflect on you. The things that are asked for, the way in which they're asked, the way that, you know, who you surround yourself with. So we all have an Uncle Dennis. It's just a matter of who we choose to put out there as that Uncle Dennis.
I have an Uncle George, nurse practitioner. Premature babies, yeah.
Could
George
use one of those.
or Jorge? George or Jorge?
Jorge, but he goes as George, yeah.
Can you tell me, because the idea that they would throw the book at Uncle Dennis, do you have any idea, David, where throwing the book comes from? What is the book? Is it in court, you're holding up the Bible and then you throw the book at somebody? Like, what is the throwing of the book? Where does that expression come from? Do you know?
I don't know. I didn't think of the Bible. I thought of the legal code.
It's like a rule book.
The criminal code, the rule book.
So I have the answer, Dan. In old times, the judges literally had a law book with all the laws, which punishments and sentencing guidelines were drawn. To throw the book at someone meant the judge was applying every possible charge and penalty allowed by law, as if hurling the entire book at the accused.
So at Uncle Dennis, that's how Uncle Dennis is simply just asking rich guys, hey, can you just give me the most? And
But not the rule book, though, like just the NBA rule book.
Right, but it's just the idea that Uncle Dennis is going to be punished for this is asinine. Like, I mean, he should make all the asks, and since Lawrence Frank says, we know the rules, they've got to follow the rules, not Uncle Dennis.